What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back with another video. And today, I'm going to give you guys a way too early top 32 prospects in the NFL draft for 2022. I've been on that Canva grind, y'all, and I'm sure that I've just released my wide receiver rankings, and this is going to give you a little bit of hint into my other rankings list, but I thought I might as well. I don't have any other of my lists fully complete yet. So again, this is subject to change, but I put in quite a few hours. I have a pretty solidified first round so far, and there are some big surprises. Again, if you guys are new, all the links are in the description to join the community. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe. You know what to do. But again, if you guys want to see some all 22 tape studies, if you guys want to do a little more like interpersonal communication, Discord server, let's get it going. We need that community pop in a little bit more. We got already over 90 people in there. Need a little bit more because I would love to talk with you guys. And plus, you get free all 22 tape with me. So it seems like a good deal unless you guys don't like me, which then I don't know why you're here. So starting off with the end, because I'm not going to show you guys the top 10 yet. We're going to start from the bottom and get up to the top. Number 32, Sean Rhyan. So Sean Rhyan is a beast. He's right here. Terrible photo quality. I know. Like Sue, like 24/7 sports. But he is an absolute baller of a guy. I think he has actually really good athletic skills. I think he has to polish up that footwork quite a bit. And that's why I think that he probably should start in the NFL at guard for the time being. But man, this is the guy who made me hate Drake Jackson. You're going to see not many edges in this list. So that he's definitely the reason why Drake Jackson jumped way off this list. Absolute stud of alignment. And you guys can complain about how I did this list with the secondary colors as the team numbers. Trust me, I regretted it as soon as I did it, but it took me like 30 minutes to do that. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. But number 31, Darian Kendrick. This includes his personality issues because he is a lethal corner. Absolutely amazing. And honestly, as long as he doesn't get caught sleeping with a gun in his lap, I think he'll be okay. You know, there are bigger red flags than just being a complete idiot. And I think that probably being in a good environment, think of like a Belichickian environment where honestly I think he'd thrive, but they don't need corners, etc. You know, guys, you know what I'm talking about, guys. I think he'll be able to keep his game focused and be able to get his act together. So number 30, Breece Hall, running back, Iowa State, the only first round running back in this class. He's a Heisman contender. He's a guy who can carry a team on his back. He is awesome. Love Breece Hall. And I think that he's actually pretty similar to Dave Montgomery. And that's going to be really great because David Montgomery is a very underrated top 10 running back in the NFL. And I think Breece Hall could even be better. Number 29, Charles Cross. Now, this is a mixture of my hope as well as understanding his big flaws. Very undersized, really poor anchor, and it even showed up against speed rushers, which we'll talk about one of them later on. I think that Charles Cross has a lot to grow in. Unfortunately, this tackle class isn't that great. So he's going to be artificially thrusted up. I think this draft has a lot of talent, and you're going to see some guys on here who didn't make the cut. They're going to be like, how the heck aren't they on this list? There's a guy from Washington I'm thinking about. He's a corner. It's not Isaiah McDuffie, but you guys know McDuffie. He barely missed the cut. I think he's in like the 35, 38 range. And I just wasn't surprised by him at all. But there are a lot of guys in there that didn't make the cut. And that's just the way it felt. Again, I don't really think there should be that many corners in the top 32. In my opinion, if you guys follow me on Twitter, link in the description, this is the best defensive back class in recent memory. I think that it could be the best ever if they pan out, but there is a plethora of talent, especially in that safety and cornerback position at the top of the draft. It is unbelievable. But again, Charles Cross has a lot of room to grow, but he does show major flashes that could develop into a star talent. Number 28, Drake London. You guys probably heard me talk about him before. He's 6'5", 210 pounds. He is a beast, amazing after the catch. Could truly be a number one wide receiver on a team. And hopefully his health doesn't end up being a factor that comes into the equation due to his size. Because again, 210 pounds at 6'5" it's a little bit weird because again, that is lightweight. You see that there's even David Bell at 6'2", 205. So there is some potential concern down the road, but nothing too crazy at all. Drake London is a stud. Jalen Weidermeyer. He's a stud. He's a stud tight end, man. There's nothing I can really complain about him. I don't think he's a bona fide number one tight end yet, but there's a lot to like about Jalen Weidermeyer. I'm excited to do a bit deeper of a tape study on him. I've already done one on him, but hey, there's always more tape to be dug into. Again, we're getting brand new content very soon with college football, which is awesome. Next at 26, we got Mike Jones, linebacker LSU, formerly of Clemson, coming in to take that role of Jabril Cox. And he's lethal as a coverage linebacker, and I hope he's a bit better in the run game than we saw with Jabril Cox. But if he's not, then we're looking, maybe we're going to be dropping Mike Jones. But I've heard very good things about Mike, and I think that he has a lot of potential, and I think he can step in and do even better than Jabril Cox did. So fingers crossed, because that could be your next Levante David, and that would be awesome. Awesome, guys. Next, 25, Akeem Kwanu, interior offensive line at NC State, played left tackle, doesn't belong there. This guy is an absolute monster. He is a freak. He is unbelievable athletically. Just look at the size of him. He just is able to plow dudes over. Absolutely awesome. And there's a theme that's going to be coming up. We missed out on number 23 here, but we'll talk about 24 in a second. But the guys who are my guys, where I have them artificially higher than probably a ton of people, are going to be in italicized. Missed out on Josh Wiley. That's my bad. But Nick Benito, 24. He is a stud. I think that in the right scheme, he could be one of the best edges in the class, graded amazingly for PFF, and he is very lethal. I absolutely love him. I remember, I forget, it might have been with Ronnie Perkins when I first heard his name, but regardless, this guy is a bona fide stud. Lots of potential there. I love how quick he can be, and in the right scheme, I think he can light it up. Number 23, Josh Wiley, my guy of the draft. Definitely could backfire in my face. There's very, very little tape on him. So you guys are like, I can't find anything. It's because there really isn't much. I go to SMU, pony up, and I see Cincinnati crush our dreams every single year. Josh Wiley is one of them, and he's one of the reasons for that. And if you ever liked Richie Grant, Josh Wiley might have put a damper on one of those plays where he literally completely obliterated him. So Richie Grant, we all know, it's a very talented, high second-round pick for the Atlanta Falcons, and Josh Wiley made him look like a complete fool. I think Josh Wiley is the real answer. He's the real deal. Also, by the way, 2023 is going to be unbelievable for tight ends, but we can talk about that in a little bit's time. Not right now. We're not even in the 2022 season. 22, speaking of, Kenyon Green. I'm probably a little bit lower on Kenyon Green than a lot of people, and that's just because I saw some major flaws in Kenyon's game. There's a lot to love about it. And again, he is young. That's the blessing of these past drafts. A lot of these linemen are super young, true juniors coming out, which is also why you won't see Thayer Mumford on this list, who I think is an extremely good talent. Just you have to factor in age, right? Kenyon Green has a lot of potential, though. Kicking to tackle, I would love to see him thrive in that role. I don't know if he will, but there's a lot to like there. 21, Jackson Kirkland. I'm putting their offensive lineman because I think he could play better at guard. He is a smaller guy as well, but extremely athletic. Loved his 2019 tape actually more than his 2020. So there is, again, a lot to like from him. Pretty damn solid tackle as well. I just think that his skill set and his build is so much better for the interior. Again, he is 6'7", which might put a little bit of a pain in the ass to most quarterbacks having to see over a 6'7" guy. But I think it's worth it. Now we're cutting down to 6 players per list right here. And starting off with number 20, we got Jordan Battle, safety out of Alabama. Really a do-it-all safety. Love him everywhere. I think he does everything well. You know, maybe his tackling form could be a little bit better, but man, there's not much to complain about him. He's just not supreme in anything, and that's why he's my safety 4, not my safety 3, which we'll talk about in a second. Chris Olave, number 19. Absolutely, he's a stud, right? He's a stud. I think drops scare the shit out of me. It's why I put Jerry Jeudy as my number 3 wide receiver, and it was nothing to do with anything about Jerry Jeudy besides the drops, right? If you can't catch the ball, that's the easiest way to kill momentum. If you hit a guy in the hands and he drops it, easiest way to kill momentum right there. Even like an interception might not stop a drive. Like, I guess it stops the drive entirely, but it might not have psychological impact that continuing to hit your wide receivers in the hands and them dropping it would. But again, Chris Olave is a stud. We don't need to overthink it too much. Route running tactician, love him. 18, Jalen Catalon. So this is something I didn't expect. And that's why I know I love him, is because I wasn't coming in saying, dude, Jalen Catalon's a stud, and watched him and had some confirmation bias, right? I never even heard of him. Looked at what Mel Kiper said. Broshmo and I were looking at him, and it was like, well, who the hell is this Jalen Catalon guy? He's in like the first round for Mel Kiper. Or I don't know if he was in the first round. He was definitely in his top 5 safeties. And it was like, wow, this guy's a rocket. He flies everywhere, man. Not really great in the tackling game, I will admit. And there are some, I think he let up 5 touchdowns in the red zone. There are some holes in his game, but I think his IQ is extremely underrated. He recognizes plays and how they're developing before even quarterbacks do. Love that so much about him. And again, this guy's a rocket. He flies. Most noticeable player on the entire field, in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of Jalen Catalon. If you can use him as a deep safety, you don't have to worry about those tackling issues nearly as much. Again, you always do have to worry about it, but I think that he has a lot of potential, and in the right scheme, man, this guy could be electric. And I think there's a better version of him earlier in this list, or I guess like further down the list. But there is actually somebody, I will mention him. He almost made the cut as well. Daxton Hill, safety out of Michigan. He's literally Jalen Catalon, but worse, which is great. I think he actually will be a better day one impact than Jalen, because I think he has more experience in the Big Ten, which SEC is better than the Big Ten. However, I think Jalen Catalon he's not played pretty much one-on-one versus the talent that Daxton Hill has yet. But Jalen Catalon, huge upside right there. I might have just been totally wrong there, but I still think that Jalen Catalon has so much potential, and I'm a huge fan of him. Speaking of Arkansas, number 17, Traylon Burks, monster, big slot. That's the reason why he's 17 and not higher, is because he's a slot. But he's an absolute animal over the middle. Hope he can get a little better with his separation skills, but there's a lot of potential there with his size, 6'3", 232. Awesome guy. Then 16, my high school quarterback, Matt Corral. This is projection right now. I hope that Matt can get over his mental woes with getting stuck in the rhythm of being able to throw 6 interceptions. Don't know if that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't. I don't think it will. I think that Matt can grow up, essentially, and then be able to take it from there. Very highly skilled quarterback. If anybody says otherwise, they're an idiot, right? Everybody knows how good this kid can be. And we also just saw him lose his star weapon. So we're going to see how he does with Jerry and Ely, as well as pretty much, like, I think he's named Ontario Drummond. It's not as good of a wide receiver core. Similar to somebody who's going to be half of this amount on this list, there is a lot of potential around what they can do without their star weapons. We'll talk about that in a second. 15, Sauce Gardner. Cutting off a little bit of the design here. Who really cares, right? You don't really care about the last 2 letters of Cincinnati. He's an absolute beast. You'll see, I think that he's very similar to Kaiir Elam, that I incorrectly colored. Gotta love that. Kaiir Elam and Sauce Gardner, I'll talk about at the same time. Really, really solid corners, especially in man coverage. Issue, probably going to be their long speed. So I think if they're in a situation with a solid safety over the top, these guys can take over that number 11 spot. But Ahmad Gardner, I think that his specialty is going to be in that press. He's actually putting on more weight, which is ridiculous. I don't think the weight was the issue. I think speed was more the issue than anything. But Sauce Gardner, really lethal cornerback. And I think that, honestly, he definitely has the chance to be the best corner in this class in the right scheme. Love Sauce Gardner. 14, Malik Willis, really talented quarterback. Lots of potential there. His competition's a little bit iffy, right, at Liberty, but he has all the pieces to become the next Josh Allen. So I hope he does, because we've been seeing even on this weekend that these new rookie quarterbacks are actually transitioning pretty well to the NFL. Huge fan of that. 13, my guy Adam Anderson. Only reason he's not higher is his weight. He's like 230 pounds. But this guy is literally what we saw last year with he was number 13. I'm bugging on his name, Azeez Ojulari, but he's better in everything. He's faster, more mean, much better push. This guy is potentially the best edge talent that I've seen. His edge style, more that elusive speed rusher, might be the best speed rusher I've ever seen. and that's saying something. He is incredible. A lot of people have him in the third rounds. I have him as at 13, feeling bad. He's at 13. Kerry Elam, again, I think he's a little bit better than Sauce Gardner, not the pressability, and a little bit better speed. So we're nitpicking here because then again at 11, Andrew Booth. I think his athleticism sets him apart. He's like a damn joystick out there, super fast and super lethal. Huge fan of what Andrew Booth can do. We're gonna be seeing him without his counterpart Darian Kendrick this year. Big hopes for Andrew Booth. Big fan of his potential. And number 10, Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. If you guys watch my wide receiver video, you know I love his rack ability. He has solid enough speed. That might be a little bit of a downfall for him, though. He cannot become an extreme deep threat. He does get caught by people. However, he has solid hands. There's not really much you can dislike about Garrett Wilson. There's just like, oh, I wish he had a little more speed. And that is something that you really cannot complain about. Like it's you can't. You're nitpicking there. He is an extremely elite wide receiver that I might have spelled his name wrong. Regardless, we're going to continue on. Tyler Linderbaum, interior offensive lineman out of Iowa. I only put interior offensive lineman because I think he can play guard too. He is awesome. Absolute stud on the interior of the offensive line. Has great push, great drive, and he has great control. So that's awesome. Big fan of him. Number 8, Sam Howell. Speaking about Matt Corral losing his starting receiver in Elijah Moore, Sam Howell lost his starting 4 guys in Daz Newsome, in De'Ami Brown, as well as his 2 running backs, Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. That is a huge hit to UNC. You can say Bo Corrales, this and that. You cannot replace that unless Sam Howell steps up to the next level and elevates his team. This right here is a placeholder spot because he's either going to be dropping to probably quarterback 3 or 4, or he's going to be shooting up to quarterback 1. There's just no in between unless Sam Howell finds a way to be in between, which would be weird. However, this is it's a weird spot for him because we have no clue what he's going to do. I'm excited. Number 7, DeMarvin Leal, defensive lineman out of Texas A&M, because I think he can be an edge. He's my number 2 edge right now. And he's my number 1 interior defensive lineman if you want to put him there. 290 pounds. I think he fits better as an edge, and he moves like 260. He moves faster than Myjai Sanders, who I think moves more like he's 290 at 260. Reverse that, you get DeMarvin Leal, really lethal player at Texas A&M. Huge fan for his potential. Number 6, Kyle Hamilton. Some people might dare say this is too low for Kyle Hamilton, a safety, which is, as Broshman would say, an underrated position. Or like an undervalued position that has a ton of value in the NFL. So basically, people, they don't have the value for it's hard to explain what the hell Broshman was saying. I love that guy, but it's a position that people don't draft highly. That's the bottom line. He's, I think, more going to be in that slot corner as well as strong safety role, which you'll see later on in this list where you're finding my guy of the entire draft fits an entirely different role. So before you guys get your panties up in a bunch, we're going to talk about Brandon Joseph here, who is an unbelievable stud safety out of Northwestern. I think he's the best arguable defensive back I have ever seen besides Derek Stingley, which Derek Stingley's he's been consistent since day one. We'll talk about him in a second. Brandon Joseph, when I was talking about Jalen Catalon being like a joystick or Andrew Booth, this guy moves perfectly in all directions. Has great IQ, solid in the run game. Man, I cannot find a flaw with Brandon Joseph. His weight, he just put on 20 pounds or 15 pounds. So I hope he continues to be as joysticky and as agile. Interceptions, had a shit ton. Probably going to go down because, again, there might not be throwing his way. This guy is arguably the best defensive back I've seen. Like, he's challenging Derek Stingley. And you guys can call me crazy, but I did an all-22 stream. People were agreeing with me. This guy is better than Kyle Hamilton for his position. And again, there's nothing wrong with Kyle Hamilton. This is just saying how damn good Brandon Joseph is. Number 4, Spencer Rattler. Like him, kind of a thin frame, does some stupid things sometimes, but lots of potential there. Excellent arm talent. We've known it since high school. So Spencer Rattler, solid quarterback at Oklahoma. Number 3, Derek Stingley. Do we even need to talk about Derek Stingley? He has been absolutely lethal all the time. They're even using him on offense, apparently. Some crazy shit going on, right? Number 2, Evan Neal. You see that split squat right there. That man is 360 pounds at 6'7", doing like a 40-inch split squat jump. It's just like, what the heck? People aren't built to be like this. Not many of them are. Uh, God didn't create that many human beings with the physical capabilities of a man like Evan Neal. There was, you see Makai back then, who is unbelievably strong. Evan Neal has that strength, but look at this athleticism. I mean, I can't even get half of that height at my weight, right? Like I'm straight up 200 pounds lighter than this dude, and I can't even get close. Granted, he is unbelievably strong, but it's just people aren't supposed to be that athletic. And I saw his progression. Hated him from the first game. I think it might have been against Texas A&M or Ole Miss, one of those teams. And it was the first game of the year. He looked terrible. I remember messaging bros, hey, dude, this guy is terrible. What are people talking about? I watched his game against Ohio State. It was night and day. He progressed that much over a year where I would have taken him arguably above Rashawn Slater last draft. Y'all will call me crazy for that. Regardless, it doesn't matter. It's just a figure of speech. He was so spectacular at the end of last year. Switching over to left tackle, I expect a similar slow start and then an extreme progression over the year. I think this dude is the real deal. You plug him anywhere and he will develop. He's a quick learner and he's an excellent athlete. There is too much potential with Evan Neal. And of course, number one, KT. I mean, do we even need to talk about him? He is dominant. Speaking of number 32 guy, Rhyan actually did a really good job against KT. But KT is KT. He's unbelievable. Also, Oaks Christian alum. So, he is an absolute stud. You just don't find talents like this every day. We've started to find them almost every year with like Chase Young and that, but it is special the type of talent KT will bring. And he's an awesome guy too. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know who I left out. And obviously, some guys probably will pop up on this list. Some will drop off. We'll see you in time. I'll see you on the far side. Peace.